and welcome back, Harmony Cultivators. Today I am showing you all about the different types of Moxibustion that there are and how to use them. Now, if you have no idea what Moxibustion is, it is basically the dried herb of mugwort. And what they do in Chinese medicine is burn that over different meridians or acupuncture points in order to help strengthen or support different meridians or organs in the body. Now, these are not physical, literal organs as in the Western mind, but these are in charge of different energy pathways in the body that are related to the 5 elements or 5 phases. Now, Moxibustion has been used for thousands of years in Chinese medicine for so many different ailments, and those could be connected to wind, dampness, cold, and there are so many different types of Moxibustion and different methods to use Moxibustion in. So one that you will traditionally see or even practitioners will use is direct Moxibustion, where you're burning the herb directly on the skin and it may cause burning or blistering. They will even place Moxibustion at the end of acupuncture needles when they're inside of you in order to help tonify. However, we want to learn how we can do Moxibustion at home safely without hurting ourselves, and learning this just gives us another tool in the toolbox of Chinese medicine that we can use ourselves at home. So in general, mugwort is a warming herb. So when you're burning this, you're basically helping to bring more blood flow, circulation, and energy, stimulating this point or meridian wherever you have it located on the body. Now, if this sounds too intimidating, don't worry. We don't have to know every single acupuncture point. We don't have to know necessarily every single meridian. When you're just starting off, it's okay to even just to start using it in very simple ways, such as sore or knotted muscles, because when you burn the mugwort on any tight or sore muscles, it helps to really just soothe those muscles, bring more energy, more blood flow, and relieve them. However, there are so many different uses, and I will provide more videos on more specific ailments and locations and all sorts of those things, and those will be linked below as well. What I really want to focus today on just the different types and different methods to use them that we can use very simply and safely and that you can buy yourself. I just wanted to introduce you to some of the ones that are my favorites. So a common one you'll see on the market is what they call a Moxibustion stick or cigar. Now, these are not technically my favorite, and I really prefer, if you're going to use them in the summertime or when it's warm enough to either do outside or open all the windows, because they are very strong. But they're basically just, like I said, a cigar stick of mugwort that is wrapped in a paper. You can see this one's used already here. It's basically just a cigar. Literally, the mugwort herb is rolled into a paper. You can see this one's already burned. This one's a fresh one, hasn't been burned yet. And what you do is simply light it, make sure it's lit. You can blow on it a little bit to make sure it's completely lit all evenly. And then let's say you want to tonify a point on your arm, then you would just go ahead and kind of hover above the acupuncture point. And you really want to move it around, probably in a circle, just because if you hold it in one still spot and it's really close, it's going to hurt. You will definitely feel it. It gets warmer than what you would expect, and depending on the point, you can do that, for 5 minutes, 8 minutes. Simple to use, but the smell is stronger. So if you have any, people who are sensitive to smells, or if you're in an apartment somewhere you can't have kind of like an incense smell, you might want to pass on these because we have other options. So the next option is what they call a smokeless moxa. Now, these are kind of like little charcoals, and personally they're not my favorite. I do have them as a backup, but they're not my favorite just because they do break all the time. So they're basically just little sticks that have less smoke or smell to them than the traditional rolled herb. But like again, I said, not my favorite, but is another option to have on hand. Now, the next one are the Moxibustion pouches. Now, these are my favorite. So what it is you have a pouch that contains, if you open the zipper, a little copper box, and you open up the copper box, and you can see mine's dirty inside because I use it all the time. They're always burning. But you open it and you'll have these little mini Moxibustion sticks. They're just little tiny ones. They're the same idea as the big one, but it's just a small piece. So that way you don't have to worry about putting it out because it'll naturally go out. So you can see here with the sticks, or the cigars that they're called, is you had to put them out. Let's say you're only doing a few points, you really don't need to do it that long, then you have to put it out, and personally I will save them just because, next time you may only need another half of one. But they get smelly, they get dirty and messy, so that's a big reason why I prefer the Moxibustion pouches. So what you do is you take the little tiny Moxibustion stick, slide it on the copper pin, just like that. And you will light it. Once you know that the stick is burning, it's burning evenly, you'll go ahead and blow it out. Close it up. And what you need to do is you can loosen the top and decide how much you want to vent the copper box. Now, you're going to be placing this inside of a pouch, so there's not going to be a ton of airflow. So depending on how much you open or close the lid is going to determine how fast and how hot the Moxibustion is going to burn. I usually open them all the way. I look for a hotter but quicker burn. I would say these little sticks burn for about maybe 20 minutes when you have the canister all the way opened. So I will give you a close-up. So here is the copper tin. And like I said, you just loosen up this little button by twisting it. And then once you loosen it, you can decide how open you want the vents to be, or you could even close them all the way. But if you close them all the way, it's really hard to make sure it's burning. So I always just leave them open. The more open, the hotter and faster it'll burn. So tighten it so it stays and doesn't move on you. And it has a little notch here. So you'll see here there's a little wire to place the Moxibustion on. It's okay if it's poking out a little bit. And then just to go ahead, get it started by burning it. Go ahead, put it in there, and then you're gonna go ahead and put it into the pouch. Once you place it into the pouch, once you zip it in there, there's really no smoke at all that's escaping, at least visually. Sometimes you might find a little bit at the end of the zipper, but you will take the box and it'll be smoky a little bit. Go ahead, place it inside the pouch, zip it up, and depending on where you want to place it. So for this type of pouch, you can really place anywhere. If you have a neck problem, a back problem, the single ones are what I would start with just because you can place it anywhere. But the most common one, let's say for the kidneys, is on the back. So what we'll do is go ahead, get it on, and sometimes these come with buckles, sometimes Velcro. Personally, I prefer the Velcro just because it seems a little more adjustable and I don't have a problem as much with the buckles falling off. And when you're wanting to use the Moxibustion on your kidneys, you'll go ahead and place it as if, in the position as if your belly button went all the way through to your back. So that is where you'll want to place it, and you'll feel it, maybe not right away get warm, but after about 3 minutes, you should really feel it getting warm. And you just leave it there until the Moxibustion pouch feels cool to touch. Now, if you're having any type of menstrual problems, placing it over the belly button or even just below the belly button is great for any types of cramping. And placing on the belly button or even just above helps a lot with digestion and making sure that that is remaining strong. So super easy, not much to it. And there's also other types of pouches. And it really just depends on, like I said, what your uses for it will be. If it's just for sore muscles, or if you have any type, where on the body, what sore muscles you'll be using it on. But they will have different sets of how many Moxibustion canisters come. And this is a really great one. You place on your neck like this, so you have any type of stiff neck or neck pain. A lot of times people, if they're not keeping their neck covered or are exposed without a scarf, let's say in the winter, will tend to get torticollis or something like that, which is basically wind that's stuck in the neck. And so when you put this on and have stiff neck, you'll really feel the warmth, and it gets all of this area at once versus having to burn one pouch, 20 minutes, 20 minutes, 20 minutes, 3 times, right? So it just does it all at once, which is kind of nice to have. There are also sets that, if you have any type of shoulder, back pain, this one's a little vest. This one's a little vest that you put on, which is kind of nice. It just snaps in the front here. And so you get all the canisters going and then place it on. So you'll see that it gets the shoulders and the upper back. And they also make ones that are for the abdominal area, that you can use all over the back. There's so many different variations, and I've linked all the ones below that I like. I do find that even though you're burning it the same as a Moxa cigar or stick, because it is contained within the pouch, it doesn't smell that bad, and it dissipates much quicker. So this is my preference. If you absolutely cannot burn anything at all, there are still more options for you. Now, one of them are these little mugwort balls, and these are kind of cool. You basically have a little herbal mugwort that is wrapped and a sticker, and you will open the sticker, I usually try to warm it up either with rolling it in your hands, breathing on it, and squish it a little bit just to make sure it's kind of, active. If they've been sitting for a while, sometimes they get a little hard and dry, but just kind of activating it a little bit with warmth and heat in your hands, and then placing it in the center of the circle sticker. And what you do with these is you can actually place them on different acupuncture points specifically, or a common one if you're having any type of menstrual problems is to actually place it in the belly button. And so what you'll do is simply, like I said, put it in there, place the mugwort ball in your belly button, the sticker over it, and it'll just stay there. Leave it on for however long the package says. I think it's usually about 8 hours or so. And when you're done, you can just take it off and throw it out. So the last smokeless option I have for you is what we call a Moxibustion sticker or a mugwort sticker. So it really just is that. It is just a sticker, which is another smokeless option if you cannot have any smoke. They're super cheap, honestly. If you buy a whole bunch at once and just keep them on hand is something good to have. And it's going to be kind of like those heating pouches that we have here in the States. But you will smell a little bit of mugwort. It just smells herbal. Not bad at all. It's just a little patch. And so what you'll do is, I can do it here, take it off, and it's literally a sticker. And if you're wanting to place this on the kidneys to help tonify the kidneys, if you're having any type of low back pain or muscle pain in your back, there, and leave it on. And again, like I said, follow the directions that's on the package, but leaving it on overnight or generally they say, 8 to 12 hours leaving it on before you need to change it if you need to add another, or the next day.